And welcome everyone to our final regular season AP Top 25 poll reaction. I'm Andy Katz. So we're going to go over the top 25. Look at my Power 36, the last one of the regular season. Appreciate everyone being here every week since November, I think, essentially. Player of the week, team of the week, last ones for the regular season. And then we're going to take your questions. Later today at 5:30 Eastern, we're going to look at the conference tournaments and break those down over the next couple of days here before Selection Sunday on Sunday. And then Sunday night on Selection Sunday, we'll have a couple of streams breaking down the bracket and discussing all of that. So let's look at the AP Top 25 poll. Take your questions, of course, here. Houston, UConn, Purdue. I can't remember a time where we have had – oh, and by the way, tomorrow we have one more bracket show, 1 o'clock Eastern time. I don't want to forget about that. And we will talk about these three top seeds here because I don't remember a time where we've had such consensus in the top three in some order, but there are a lot. Also, logistically, it all works out perfectly. To jump ahead to tomorrow, we've got Purdue and Indy, Detroit if they get there, UConn, Brooklyn, Boston if they get to Boston, Houston, Memphis, Dallas if they get there. It just all works out just so smoothly. Now the fourth number one, there you go. In order, how will it play out? I think it could play out the way we see it in the top 25 right now. Carolina, Tennessee, Arizona. I dropped Arizona a little, you'll see momentarily, because they lost to USC. Iowa State lost to K-State. Not a great loss. Creighton, they're right there. Kentucky. I think Marquette, they're right on that fringe without Tyler Kolek. We hope he's back this week. Duke, Auburn, Illinois, Baylor, no issue with any of this. South Carolina, Kansas. I have an issue with Kansas. Lost again. Hunter Dickinson hurts his shoulder, pops out. They get blitzed by Houston. Kevin McCullough hurt. I checked with Kansas. We still don't know their status for the Big 12 tournament. Gonzaga, I like that. Utah State, they won the Mountain West Conference. Alabama lost to Florida, won on the weekend. BYU, St. Mary's, Washington State lost to Washington. Got to drop them a little bit. Nevada, great week for the Wolfpack. I think they could be a sleeper team in the Mountain West Conference to win it. Dayton. I'll tell you right now, they didn't finish first. They didn't finish second. They finished third. I get a little bit of an issue putting them in the top 25 right now. Texas Tech, I like that selection. Like it a lot to be right there on the cusp. So here's where you see some changes from my top 25 to 36. Let's go to my Power 36. And you see here 1 through 12. Houston, UConn, Purdue, Carolina, Kentucky, Tennessee. So for rankings purposes, not seeding, rankings, I have Kentucky up in the top 5. What a great win they had at Tennessee. Arizona, I dropped rankings-wise. Illinois, Creighton, I think they're playing very well right now. There you see Iowa State and Duke rounding out the top 12. Duke lost at home to Carolina. Let's look at 13 through 24. Baylor, Gonzaga, BYU, Auburn, Florida. Interesting week for them. Beat Alabama, lost by 1 to Vanderbilt. Bad loss, but the Alabama win was obviously more who they are. South Carolina, St. Mary's, Utah State, Boise State won at San Diego State. Give them credit. The Broncos. Great season for Leon Rice and his son Max Rice, their best player. Florida Atlantic, I jumped them back in the top 25 with their win over Memphis. They are back, and a factor, of course, that they could make another deep run. Nevada, you see Steve Alford's got, I think, his best chance to get to the Sweet 16, obviously, since he's been in Reno. Last year, if you remember, they got embarrassed in the first 4 in Dayton. That's not going to happen. This team deserves to be there, and they're going to win some games, I think, or at least a game. Let's go to the final grouping, 25 through 36. There you see Nebraska, Keisei Tominaga. What a first half he had Sunday against Michigan. The Huskers are the 3 seed in the Big Ten tournament. Remarkable run for them. There's no question in my mind that it's either Fred Hoiberg or Chris Collins for Big Ten Coach of the Year. I voted for Hoiberg. I could have gone for Chris Collins. What an outstanding job he did. There you see Texas Tech, Drake. They beat Indiana State on Sunday in the Missouri Valley Conference tournament. They're in. They get the AQ. The question is what happens to Indiana State. They're going to sweat it. Colorado swept the Oregon schools. I think Colorado right now is in the field. Loyola Chicago, great week for them in the A-10, get a share of first place. They're going to be the 2 seed to Richmond, but they get a piece of that A10 title, Drew Valentine should be the coach of the year with Chris Mooney in the A10. There's Northwestern. They continue to defy the odds. 2 starters down. Great win on Saturday night over Minnesota. Lost essentially in the last possession at Michigan State. It's amazing what they've been able to do without Ty Berry and now Matt Nicholson. Washington State, South Florida. Beat Tulane, lost to Tulsa. Unfortunately for the Bulls, even though they won the American outright, I think they're going to have to win the conference tournament to get in and 2 bids out of that league. There's Kansas. I dropped them way down. They're not the same team. They are not the same team. They got absolutely blitzed by Houston. We don't know what's going to happen to them with their 2 stars in Hunter Dickinson and McCullough, whether or not they're going to play this week. There's Pitt. Jeff Capel doing a great job in the ACC. Solid week this week. I think they're going to be right there to potentially be back in Dayton in the first 4 like they were last year. Seton Hall and Princeton. Princeton wins the Ivy. Ivy League tournaments, Princeton against Brown, and then Yale and Cornell. Brown, by the way, over the weekend, I gave him a shout out last week. Again, they won at Yale. So great little surge for Brown. That's not going to be an easy game for Princeton at all. Princeton, like Indiana State, you could make the argument they're good enough to be in the NCAA tournament, win games, no question. The metrics there, probably not, just like Indiana State. So Princeton better win that AQ out of the Ivy, or they're going to sweat it and probably on the outside looking in if they don't get it. So my national team of the week, first, if I'm not mistaken, in our last national team of the week, the Drake Bulldogs. Tucker DeVries, 27 points. His dad, Darren DeVries, outstanding job. They win the Missouri Valley. They got to take down Indiana State to do so. Finish second to Indiana State in the regular season. They beat them in the conference tournament. Arch Madness is a great way always to tip off Champ Week. Intense fan support, all the schools in the Valley, and Drake with the win. So they get the AQ. Player of the week, Reed Shepherd from Kentucky. 27 points in that road win against Tennessee, at 8 in the earlier win against Vanderbilt, but 11 assists. 27 points in that road win. Shepherd is a lottery pick. He's been a difference maker for Kentucky. Obviously, they're just oozing with talent with him and Dillingham and Antonio Reeves, Edwards. They've got so much talent. The question is, can they harness it for a deep run and get to the Final Four? They certainly have the talent to get there. And Reed Shepherd not playing like a freshman. Remember, his dad was an MOP, most outstanding player. If I'm not mistaken, it was the 97 championship with Tubby Smith, if I'm remembering that correctly, with Kentucky. Reed, just jumping right in, following his dad's footsteps, being an outstanding Kentucky Wildcat in this past week and this entire season. Outstanding freshman. All right, so let's go to your questions and see what you got for me here. BYU had a chance last minute to beat Houston and Iowa State. That's a dangerous team in the tourney. Says BYU Jazz Kicks. I agree with you. I think the Cougars offensively can score with anybody. Mark Pope has done an outstanding job seamlessly transitioning to the Big 12. He was gearing in this direction. Knew that they're not going to defend as well as a Houston, obviously, or Iowa State, but he's got an offense that can certainly produce at a high clip in the Big 12. So look out for the Cougars, not just this week in Kansas City, but of course in the NCAA tournament. Brady says UNC should be a 1 seed now, barring anything crazy. I don't think Arizona's going to get it anymore. So now it's Carolina or Tennessee. And if Carolina loses in the first game in the ACC tournament and Tennessee wins the SEC tournament, it may flip back the other way. But right now, I think UNC has the pole position to be it. Mitch, can Kentucky end up on a 2-line? No question they can. They're going to have opportunities here going forward, in the SEC tournament. Why is Gonzaga so high? Eye test. Watch them play. They're playing really well. Doesn't mean they're going to be that high a seed, okay? They don't have the metrics to that. They're still in that 7, 8, 9 range. And they got semifinals tonight, Monday night, and then final on Tuesday, assuming they win Monday. Is it weird that Tennessee only dropped 1 spot? No, because they beat South Carolina on the road early in the week, lost at home to Kentucky. No, it's not weird. Wes E says, I personally would rank Boise above Nevada. You know what? I believe I did. Let me make sure about that. I'm almost positive that that's what I did in my Power 36, but I just want to double check. But yeah, I mean, obviously they got the love in the rankings. Yeah, I had Boise State 22, Nevada 24. So yes, I'm not buying the Utah State hype just yet, says Carson Copeland. Look, New Mexico had a great chance to beat them in Logan. So let's see what they do in the Mountain West Conference tournament. I know Kansas isn't the same team with the Dickinson injury, but 34. Again, that's who they are right now, rankings-wise. Not seeding. You want to take Hunter Dickinson and Cover McCullough off their team? They're not the same team. They're not. Go around the country. Bryce Hopkins off of Providence, not the same team. I mean, that's what happens when you have major injuries. I mean, they were getting obliterated in that first half against Houston. So, yeah, they're not the same team. SJM says Kansas needs to win the Big 12 tourney badly. Yeah, for confidence, sure. Cash Money says, where's San Diego State and why did they drop out? Because they lost at home to Boise. They can't rank every Mountain West Conference team, but they'll be fine in the tournament. Don't worry about that. Klein, does Duke still have a shot at a 2 seed after losing in the UNC? No, I don't see it. Kalen, who do you think will get the number 1 overall seed, Houston or UConn? If Houston wins the Big 12, Houston. I don't know if it matters that much, though. As I said, logistically, it's not going to matter for any of those top 3. Youngman, why is Dayton still ranked? I agree. I don't know why. Wiffle, how close is Ohio State to your Power 36? Not close yet. See what happens in Minneapolis. No Abbas. Can the Creighton Blue Jays be a 2 seed? What would they have to do? Win the Big East tournament. Zero Dark. Thoughts on Indiana State? They should make it in, right? I just hope they put them in. Look, it's not a charity case. They earned it by winning the regular season of the Valley. They didn't in the non-conference. So Indiana State needs to root against every other team that's in their neighborhood. That means St. John's lose early. That means Villanova keep losing. Providence keep losing. Utah's done. Colorado keep losing. New Mexico keep losing. If everything falls their way, I think they could get in. But if there's more upsets, UNLV wins the Mountain West Conference. Someone we're not discussing in the ACC wins at Florida State or someone like that. That's going to cause a problem for Indiana State. Should Duke have dropped more than 2 spots? I mean, Carolina's really good. They're a 1 seed. Is Clemson still in the 5-6 range for you? I will tell you on Tuesday. Dalton Connect or Zach Edey? It's Zach Edey. Dalton Connect's first-team All-American. Zach Edey's numbers are like Monopoly numbers. It's insane. Every single game. I was at the game on Sunday against Wisconsin. He had 11. I think it was early in the second half. And I'm like, he'll get to 25. Got to 25. It's a double-double every game. He is a generational type talent in this generation. Thoughts on Indiana, Amy? They are a dark horse to cause some problems in Minneapolis. If they're healthy this week, and we're not 100% sure, like on Galloway, who's coming back, by the way. I mean, Khalil Ware is a difference maker. Baco's playing well. Renew. They're not going to get in unless they win the AQ, but they are going to be a problem this week in Minnesota. Does App State have any chance? No. Well, I mean, got to win the AQ, obviously. Caden Ford, other than get healthy, what does KU need to get back on track? They got to make perimeter shots. Their three-point shooting has been an issue all season long. Thoughts on Marquette? I mean, you can't say Kolek needs to be healthy. They're one and the same. Okay? Kolek needs to be healthy for them to reach their potential. If they were 100% healthy, there's no question Marquette could be in the Final Four. Tristan Newton, good point on him. Our All-American list will come out right before the Final Four. And Tristan Newton is right there to be a first-teamer. All I will tell you is there are 3 locks for first team. That's all I'm going to tell you right now. Zach Edey, Dalton Connect, and RJ Davis. Spots 4 and 5 still up for debate. Which top 3 team is the most vulnerable? I mean, I guess it would have to be Purdue until they prove otherwise, even though I think they're different team this year because Braden Smith's better, Lance Jones is better, or better addition. Mason Gillis, top 6 man, and Zach Edey's better. He's just better. Yeah, I mean, can Auburn run a deep run? I'm not buying it. I mean, they can get to Sweet 16. Deep is beyond that. You're talking about Oscar Tshiebwe. He was player of the year. No one's forgetting about him. Arizona-Washington State tournament game, who you got? I think in round 3, I would take Arizona. Yeah, look, you're asking about Michigan State. I'm not quite sure their win over Baylor separates them from Indiana, but it's not 1 versus 1. But that's what Michigan State's holding on to, that Baylor win. That's just what they got. And the Illinois win. Those are the 2 that they're just holding on. Yeah, I'd love to see a BYU Houston game in the Big 12 tournament. I gave you 3 on the 3 of the top 5. Waiting on 4 and 5. If Illinois wins the Big 10 tournament, how high of a seed can they get? I think they can be a 3. No question. All right. So let's review what we're doing here. Later this afternoon at 5:30, we're going to talk about the conference tournaments. Okay? That's happening at 5:30. At 1 o'clock Eastern on Tuesday, we are going to do our last bracket before Selection Sunday. Then on Selection Sunday, we've got some streams at 7 o'clock Eastern and 8 o'clock Eastern. So 7 and 8. So make sure you've written that down if you're a follower here. We appreciate everyone engaging. A lot to discuss. It's going to be a great champ week. Can't wait. And then the tournament starts a week from tomorrow, Tuesday. So it's going to be quite a crazy month, as it always is. And it's the best month of the year from beginning now. And I include this week. So it's really a 4-week stretch for me. It's champ week and then the 3 weeks of the NCAA tournament that I think are the best 4 weeks of the sporting calendar. Appreciate everyone. I'll talk and converse with you in a few hours at 5:30 Eastern. As always, you can follow me at the Andy Katz on Twitter, X, whatever you'd like to call it. And then at the real Andy Katz on Instagram. Thanks for watching, engaging, and asking your questions. Appreciate everyone.